Dahmer was not only a psycho, but he also had too much free time, and I'm sure things wouldn't have gotten so bad if he had Polybuzz AI, an app which offers you free, private, and unrestricted AI character chat.
Your ears did not deceive you. That was generally the opening to someone's video. So I want to preface this video by saying that a lot of the clips in this video are going to come from a channel named August the Duck, because that's who originally introduced me to this topic, and the reason I have to use August clips in this video is because the original video that I was going to be talking about today was removed by the uploader. The reason the video was removed by the YouTuber was because of how insensitive it was, because all it did was mock Jeffrey Dahmer's victims. Basically, there's a YouTube channel that likes to do stick figure animations that speedruns talking about certain topics, and one of the topics it chose was all of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims. And the way he chose about handling talking about all these victims in 18 minutes was by telling jokes about the victims, victim blaming the victims, and introducing his sponsor the way I showed in the intro. In the time the video was up before I was able to download the video, a lot of YouTube commentators were in the guy's comments. So what I guess happened is he panicked, realized a bunch of commentators were going to talk about this situation, and he quickly deleted the video. I wasn't able to save the link to the video, so I wasn't able to get it on the Wayback Machine, but I am going to use some clips from August the Duck, but keep in mind we're using the same examples because that's the only video on the internet that I can find of it. But without any further ado, let's get right into it. Hit that subscribe button. It's free.
Stephen Hicks, 18, June 18th, 1978. It's 1978, the summer of bad haircuts and even worse decisions.
You should never take a joking tone when talking about anything related to true crime. You're over here trying to speedrun talking about all the Dahmer victims, then why did you find the time to add a joke into the video? I think we can both agree that the video would have been way faster if you didn't add any jokes into this video about a very serious topic, regarding murder. I want everyone to keep in mind that the family of Dahmer's victims are still alive to this day. And a lot of the families have spoken out against making content such as glorifying Dahmer or even joking about the crimes, because keep in mind these were real people at some point who had to go through these events.
Classic horror movie mistake. Never accept rides from creepy strangers in Ohio.
Something August the Duck didn't touch on in his video is that all of his videos are like this. He has these sound effects in every single video where he talks about something serious. Using Minecraft sound effects while also making Ohio jokes about a victim who was only 18 years old. This is a real life victim who had his entire life ahead of him before he was killed by a dumbbell. I also do realize I have some audio errors going on in the background. I'm recording this at a different time than usual because I spent all morning instead of recording looking for the original video that this guy took down. But even if you go to this dude's channel, he left no apology at all, not even in his community notes.
Dahmer was not only a psycho, but he also had too much free time, and I'm sure things wouldn't have gotten so bad if he had Polybuzz AI, an app which offers you free, private, and unrestricted AI character chats.
Yeah, he just did that. He advertised an AI chatbot that gives you NSFW in a Dahmer video. When you are a true crime channel, usually what you're gonna do is introduce your sponsor right after your intro. I've never seen a true crime video ever try to introduce their sponsor like that, where saying, hey, if Jeffrey Dahmer had this, he wouldn't have been committing murder. He's technically using animation in his videos, which means all of his videos have to be scripted to some degree, and he's writing a script somewhere, which means he had to send in the script to the sponsor in order to get that approved. Which means there's a 90% chance that this sponsor knew what he was gonna say in the video and still said, yeah, keep that in. Also, to make a statement that Jeffrey Dahmer's crimes wouldn't have been committed if he had an AI chatbot, I'm gonna tell you the hard truth. We've had AI chatbots with no restrictions and we still get the same crimes. To make that type of statement is so insensitive to not just victims of any crime like that, but to the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer himself. And on my channel, I have talked about sensitive topics before. Not too long ago, there was a plane crash near me when I was eating out with friends, and I talked about that in a YouTube short, and I left it to that. I chose to take a little bit of a different tone with that video and only share the picture that I saw of the crash because I did understand that there was a child victim during that crash. But I chose to keep out my jokes that I usually put in my YouTube shorts because that's not something you joke about. None of this situation is something that you should joke about. This isn't a horror movie. This wasn't a Netflix series. Keep in mind, these were real victims of these crimes at some point. If you are going to be a true crime channel, then you need to learn to treat victims with the respect that they deserve.
Now, Stephen Toomey was just a regular guy working at a restaurant and living his life, but a night of very terrible luck and even worse choices placed him right in that Dahmer horror movie sequel.
These are real life victims. They are not horror movie characters, and keep in mind, these were not just bad decisions. Keep in mind, the decisions that the victims made were just normal everyday decisions that most adults make in regular life. Dahmer chatted up his victims in a bar and they decided to go home with them. That's something all adults do. All of the victims, from what I know, were LGBTQ, and keep in mind, if you're in that type of community back in the 1980s to the 1990s, you're not as accepted, so of course you're gonna go home with someone who you feel does accept you. If you're gonna blame someone, don't blame the victims, blame the person who was preying on the innocent.
Once they get back to Dahmer's grandmother's house, things things start off as expected. There's drinking, there's chatting, and James probably figures, okay, take some pictures, get paid, and bounce. But instead of just paying James, Dahmer drugs the boy, strangles him, and, well, let's just say dials the switch up into horror movie territory.
Or we could just say what he did. It's not a movie.
Richard coincidentally runs into Dahmer. Dahmer offers Richard $50 to come back to his place, promising drinks and a good time. And, well, it's the 1980s. Going back to a cute stranger's place didn't sound like a bad idea at all.
Then why were you victim blaming all the other victims that did the exact same thing that you're saying is not a bad idea now? I think you should make up your mind.
The only problem was, Jeffrey turned every Netflix and chill hangout into a crime scene, Dahmer. After he had gotten his fill, Dahmer then dismembered the corpse, pulling the skin from the bones, and since he's already far too comfortable playing human garbage disposal, he does what has become his standard routine and dumps Richard's remains in the trash like leftover Chinese.
Couldn't just say he threw him out like trash, just had to compare him to Chinese food. How appropriate.
When he was done taking Polaroids of the crime scene like it's a twisted scrapbooking project, he has no use for the corpse anymore, so he broke down Raymond's body into tiny pieces, boiled the flesh in acid, and kept his skull as another grim souvenir. He bleached it, cleaned it, and then just kept it around like a haunted paperweight.
Comparing a victim's skull to a haunted paperweight is so fucked up. It's not even like you made one mistake or one bad joke, you made an entire bad video on this. And maybe you had bad judgment when making the video, but you have no excuse for the victim blaming.
That was the Jonestown School. Let's talk about Jim Jones, the man behind it all. You see, Jones started the People's Temple in the 1950s as a church that pretended to preach equality and social justice. But plot twist, it was actually a full-blown cult. And like all good cult leaders, he got power-hungry, paranoid, and straight-up dangerous. By the 1970s, this deranged man had convinced over 900 people to move to the jungle in Guyana, South America, to create a utopian society. But sadly, this place was a horror movie scene just waiting to happen.
So even when talking about one of the most tragic cult cases ever, you still choose to compare it to a horror movie. Basically, what you're doing is ignoring all the victims and saying this is a whole movie plot.
Skipping class wasn't just about missing a boring history lecture. It was a literal life or death situation. Yep, if you skipped class, you die. Then, if you obviously show up, the lessons for the day would include complete and utter brainwashing. The students were fed nonstop propaganda about how Jim Jones was their savior and how America was out to get and destroy them. Many wanted to leave, but Jones had total control and wasn't letting anyone go. It was literally now a hostage situation.
So you're gonna pretend that a cult leader actually lured a bunch of people back with a pizza. That's so appropriate for this entire situation that totally didn't happen to real people. I truly do hope that this guy learns to treat these victims with the respect they deserve and learns to talk about these sensitive topics sensitively. I apologize that I couldn't get the unedited version of the video because I tried my best to find it on the Wayback Machine and I couldn't. But I'm very glad that August the Duck talked about the situation because I do think that when it comes to Dahmer cases in particular, a lot of people can just forget that these were real victims. Because you would be surprised by the amount of Jeffrey Dahmer fangirls that actually exist in real life. But before I go, I really do want to say I appreciate all of you for watching my videos. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you on the next one. Later.